for Russell Honore.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great day. We're making history. Literally, we're making history. But before I go with a couple of minutes comment, it's interesting to note that next week we will see 7 years on the commemorative event of Hurricane Katrina. And as we reflect on that, on where we were 7 years ago, I can tell you I was in Atlanta watching a tropical depression turn into a tropical storm. And we had watched it for 5 days come off the coast of Africa as a wave. And that's 7 years ago. Today, this evening, as we sit here, we see another storm in the Gulf. And we must remember those lessons that we all collectively learned from Katrina. Our young men then were in middle school, probably someplace, or elementary school 7 years ago. And all of you had some experience. So we remind everybody in the room, be prepared. As it happened before, Mother Nature could come visit us again. There are 3 points I'd like to leave with you that a graduate of Southern University taught me, a teacher of mine, as I was going off to Southern in college. She reminded me I was not the sharpest knife in the basket. And she said, you can be successful, young man, if you do 3 things. Number 1, do the routine things well. I ask you, honoring men, to make it a practice to do the routine things well. Routine things, those things such as we'll pledge you later tonight, being punctual, doing your homework, communicating with your family, look out for one another, take care of yourself. Do the routine things well. The second point she taught me was, don't be afraid to take on the impossible. You know what? When I arrived in Katrina 7 years ago, I had been in the Army for 37 years. I was commander of the 1st Army, 33rd Commander of the 1st Army. And been in Desert Storm. I served 9.5 years overseas. I've seen a few things, good, bad, and ugly in my life. But that second point, she said, don't be afraid to take on the impossible. I had not been challenged to that point, even though I can remember my freshman year in college at Southern, sitting in a classroom with everybody who I thought was smarter than me, with professors who were talking way above my head, but who reminded me if we studied and we got our education, we could do or be anything we wanted to be. But when I arrived at the Superdome and landed there in the Navy helicopter, that challenge of not being afraid to take on the impossible finally came to fruition. I finally knew what she meant. Because up to that point, my biggest challenge before that was getting out of college. The rest of life was pretty easy. But getting out of college was a challenge. So if I could do it, you can do it. Point 3, and probably the most important, as you go through life and as you go through this experience, don't be afraid to act, even if you're being criticized. You come from good stuff. You come from good stock. Generations of your people have helped build this town and helped build this nation. This is a true opportunity you have. So as you go through this education, as you go through this experience, there will be friends that, or so-called friends, will call you and say, hey man, let me pick you up. We got something going on. You need to get out of that dorm. And they'll criticize you when you tell them, no, I've got to stay with my business. You see, we need you to graduate. We need you to come back and give in our community. And live a life of service, whether it's right here, teaching in a school here, or serving in somewhere around the world, serving your country and fellow men. We need you to be successful. So, that being said, Warren said, make it short. Those are the 3 points that guided me, and I've tried to pass on to every formation I ever commanded or been a part of. So I hope tonight you will take them with you. Again, do the routine things well. Don't be afraid to take on the impossible. And don't be afraid to act, even if you're being criticized. God bless you. It's great to be with you tonight.